A subscriber commented on one of my recent videos asking if I could look into Magazine7, a DeviantArt account they came across that was two adults posting graphic descriptions and images of the abuse they inflicted on their 40-year-old son who lives with them. They recommended I check it out soon as they had already reported some of the worst images, so I did so straight away, and after scrolling through their 1,800 deviations, I was left feeling not only horrified, but absolutely baffled as to what's going on here. Let's investigate. If you enjoy internet mysteries and generally disturbing content, feel free to subscribe and turn on notifications for more content like this. If you're interested in supporting the channel, you can become a Ko-fi member or a channel member to gain access to uncut videos and other perks, or you can leave me a tip by clicking the thanks under this video. Thanks to anyone who considers this. This video will contain discussions of abuse and other topics that some might find triggering. Viewer discretion is advised. You can become a Ko-fi member or a channel member to watch the uncut version of this video, which features extra details that were unsuitable for this cut. The earliest photos posted on the Magazine7 account aren't too alarming. The first was on the 27th of September 2020 and was a selfie posted by Alessandro, who would have been around 44 years old at the time. The next few are a combination of more selfies, abstract art with a variety of titles like Indifferent World, Ghostly Situation, United Gardens and Monster Inside, and a couple of political posts. The captions are always in broken English and sometimes hard to understand. Al is Italian, so English isn't his first language, but we can get the gist of what he's saying. The first particularly concerning photo was posted on the 29th of September and was a full-body mirror selfie, with Al wearing only underwear, and marks can be seen on his bare stomach, possibly bruises. It's titled, "It is me at bedtime," and the caption reads, "During these last months, my height and my stomach/chest did grow very much. My mummy daily strikes me by causing bruises on my tummy, my legs, my chest, etc. When my parents punish, torment, there are bruises. I attempted to halt them, but they spank me for over 2 hours instead of 20 minutes. Now my body is very heavy and my height is 1.88 meters, 6'2", with lightly tanned skin, black hair and eyes." You might notice that the way Al speaks is a little strange, not just with the not perfect English, but the things he says, like adding in irrelevant details like that he has lightly tanned skin and black hair and eyes, even though we can see that in the photos. More to the point though, the elephant in the room, he claims he's been physically assaulted by his parents, which seemingly explains the marks on his stomach. He goes on to make more similar allegations, from him having freedom taken away to being beaten for numerous days in a row. In fact, a lot of his selfies are captioned something along the lines of, "It is me, Alessandro, in 2021 after being beaten by my dad." The reasons for these punishments are often very minor, and most of the time, especially considering Al is an adult man in his 40s, he hasn't done anything wrong to deserve them. The reasons include Al watching a movie without authorization from his parents, him not showering for a day, getting into an argument with his parents, playing a game for too long, even talking to his parents without their permission. He has to ask their permission to do absolutely everything, from watching the news to even going to the toilet, and is severely punished if he fails to ask them. He also gets punished for things that happened decades ago, like getting a bad grade in high school or misbehaving when he was 13. His parents bathe him, he has a bedtime of 8 PM, which he randomly references frequently, and it appears that the parents control everything he does. This wasn't always the case, as Al stated that his bedtime was restored in 2020 after a lot of years in which he was free to choose what he wanted, but now the situation is as strict as when he was a child. One might question why he is posting these details online. It doesn't sound like he's asking for help. If he wanted help, surely he'd know that there are better ways to obtain it. In fact, it doesn't even seem like he's complaining about the way his parents treat him. The captions read more like a simple account of what's happening, with no thoughts, feelings, or emotions injected into the descriptions, rather than a cry for help or even a rant. I guess his posts could be seen as a diary of sorts, as in between the selfies and posts about the abuse he experiences, he posts a lot of artwork, almost all of the exact same abstract style, and the occasional random photo that just doesn't seem to fit the rest. For example, a photo of a young boy, who I assume Al doesn't know, and he likely didn't take the photo himself, with the caption, "I'm a 44 years old big boy from Italy, and I like the tenderness, smoothness, delicacy, sweetness, beauty, hairless skin, cleverness of the boys. But I disagree with the cynical, cold, insensitive, serious, heavy, childish, cruel, nasty, pimp attitudes and beliefs of the kids, boys and big boys. The most of boys think and achieve such sneaky attitudes." I'll also post the occasional photo of someone else here and there, implying that it's of him, but it clearly isn't, or it's heavily edited. For example, in January 2021, there's a photo simply showing the thighs of a man, which, comparing to other photos of Al that show his face, doesn't look to be of his legs. It's clearly edited to look like the veins are very visible. The caption reads, "It is me, Alessandro, at 44 years old on the 15th of January 2021, after being spanked by mum for 48 hours in order to punish, get me calm and insensitive at 100%. My parents are going to get me very cunning, cold, serious, very affectionate, friendly, imaginative and delicate. They have just changed ways and contents for bringing me up." I think it would be safe to assume that Al has some kind of condition that affects his maturity and perhaps his perception of the world, judging by the way he talks, and more significantly, the fact that he's in his 40s and his parents bathe him, put him to bed, and control every aspect of his life. The way he responds to comments on his page suggests this too, like he doesn't quite understand what they're saying, even though their comments are usually unambiguous. This makes the abuse the parents inflict on him even worse. He likely needs to be cared for to some extent, so it makes sense that he still lives with them, and even that they place some restrictions on what he can and can't do, if they believe he might somehow put himself in danger. But there is no excuse for the physical punishments, and the ridiculous rules they make him follow, in my opinion, point more towards them getting some sort of sick pleasure out of the control aspect, rather than them acting in Al's best interest. The Magazine7 account took an interesting turn in May 2022, when Al's mother, Christina, began posting too. The caption accompanied yet another of Al's selfies. "Good afternoon, I am Christina, Alessandro's mum. This morning, my 46 years old son has suffered a lot of beatings on his skin because I'm not fulfilled by his artistic message, where he offers his artworks for ethical/democratic goals. He could explain much better. Now I stopped smacking him because of lunchtime. Alessandro does need a girlfriend. He still hates love topic. On the contrary, he needs to be improved, perfected by us who are his senior parents. He is Alessandro on today, 2nd of May 2022, Italy." Christina often claims that the beatings are benefiting Al, though she says that he started getting nightmares as a result, and she was happy about that because she no longer got nightmares. She talks about how much he improved since they started punishing him, but these improvements don't really seem like improvements at all. Quote, "It is me, Christina, and my son Alessandro in 2017 when his age was 41. I spanked him very little in that time. The serious, daily, and very long punishments due to tiny mistakes of my son began at the end of 2020, but since January 2022, we senior parents changed fully our educative system. Our guy Alessandro has improved very much during the summer, then crisis in autumn, but from December 2022, our big boy situation is improving very much. He is becoming increasingly insensitive, cold, sneaky, false, smiling. We parents see our Alessandro, who begins to smile in a cunning way, that light smile that means a great empowerment of his soul thanks to our daily, long punishments directly on his naked skin. We senior parents have also improved our health condition. My son has become so smooth, tender, sweet, fluffy in the last month, December, that for us senior parents is much, much better than a medicine punishing a son like ours. We relax and improve our health by tormenting his skin and scolding him hardly for very light reasons. We have improved our 46-year-old guy by daily humiliating him for many, many hours, and because of his very light, his tiny mistakes, our punishment has just begun since January 2022. Maria Cristina, artist Alessandro's senior mum. A couple of days later, we also hear from Al's father, quote, "It is my artist son Alessandro during bedtime at 9 p.m. in May 2022. We compel our son Alessandro to go to bed after having his dinner at 7 p.m. and showering him at 8 p.m. Tonight we authorise him to stand awake so that he too upload his contemporary art on DeviantArt. Our big boy is a 46-year-old young man. Comment my son art if you like. Good night. Giorgio Passetti, dad of Alessandro." The following day, there's another worrying caption from Al, revealing more ways in which he's being abused. Quote, "Okay, my father allows me talking about my situation, fortunately. Since the 1st of May 2022, my mum and dad changed. Background contents about bringing up and striking me. Now I am compelled to fulfill everything my parents command me, and I must delete in my head what they forbid me. Earlier than talking to my parents, I must ask their authorization. If they do not answer to my request of talking, I cannot talk. Answer to a phone call either. From now on, my parents are being able to hit my skin because of grounds happened many years ago, and they can beat me all times they prefer due to the same my wrong happened many years ago either. My parents can sometimes prevent me from having water or fruit juice when I am thirsty. They have fully changed the rules, and it will be harsh and shameful to me. Alessandro from EU, Italy country." When Al says, "because of grounds happened many, many years ago," that might be a reference to an event described by Christina. She claimed that Al wanted to take his own life, and when they tried to stop him, he slapped them. On another occasion, he apparently stole his dad's car, drove till 4 a.m, and was eventually hospitalised in a mental health ward. He was given a powerful sedative, and since then, the parents say they attempt to sedate him with the beatings, which makes total sense. It sounds like Al is still depressed, as in one of his posts he said, "During the 3rd millennium, I wake up in the morning and I greet the new day by saying, 'Good morning, sadness.'" After this, there were numerous other art posts. Then later that month, Al posted perhaps the longest caption he has ever posted. I struggle to make much sense of it, but I'll read it for you as I think it might provide some context if you read between the lines. "Hi, it is me Alessandro in 2022 from Italy. Probably this post is the last one that I will publish on this site, and the internet more overall. I definitively stop any activity online and about analysed topic. Why? Since 2001, the world people are less and less interested in love between women and men, health issues, even the business, culture, worship, sensitivity, adult thought and mature choices, politics, charity, life after death, love towards other people, and I might list all the good topics of the world. Most of people in the whole world are intensely interested in following subjects I am, to quote, denying the existence of God, ignoring what happens after our death, deleting democracy, freedom, capitalism, human rights, differences of any kind, meaning of the reality. These sickening 2000s are increasingly intense, ancient, atheist, communist, false, and infantile. Ukraine is suffering a daily disaster because of atheism and communism of these frightening last 20 years. The first topic loved by people, especially girls, women, and gays, are the boys. Boys from 14 to 30 years old generally. Boys with the following features: infantile and sweet body, face, and way of thinking, with kid voice, smooth, hairless, perfect skin, rich in wonderful blue veins. The veins have become the measure of young, cute, hairless, sweet, tender, clever, insensitive, infantile, serious thoughts, body and face of the boys under and especially over 18 age. The world people do not get crazy for a 14-year-old boy seeming a 14-year-old boy. All of the world people get fully crazy for a 25-year-old boy seeming a 15-year-old kid. In this harmful and false 2000s, if you are an over 18 boy seeming much younger, fully smooth, full of veins, super clever and lovely, serious, aware of how the world works, obeying to his parents who strike him as if he was a 10-year-old kid, you are adored, admired by almost all of the people. If you are less intelligent, little serious, full of body and face hair, bald, adult, senior, even pretty girl, adult woman, you mean nothing for most people. The young males from 14 to 30 to 35 years old are the human genre most loved of any other category of people, and I do not feel of saying, in my opinion, like I generally write by seeking for a piece of truth. So if a boy is ignorant, suffering from mental illness, or coming from harmful countries and cruel against disadvantaged people, but he is infantile, graceful, cute, original, intelligent, he is accepted, loved, and much considered by the society of any country. Italy, China, USA, Africa are exactly the same thing about this severe asymmetry. On the contrary, if a very educated, clever, sensitive person is senior, ugly, adult, female, rich in body hair, moderate and good towards other people, he/she is considered nothing or almost nothing. Of course, the boys, especially over 18, are sexually fully more attractive than any else category of people, and so they are seriously privileged about the most important topics of the existence. So boys are the most serious and privileged by the world. That means they are twice happy. All of the other human categories are much less interesting, seductive, so they are treated much worse by the world. That means the other kinds of people are much worse twice. If a 20-year-old boy suffers a non-severe problem, a lot of people as teachers, parents, friends, doctors, online friends seriously wish to support, comfort, cuddle him. Support what? If it was not a humiliating huge disaster made of fully inequalities, that would be almost ridiculous too. Differently, the death of a 90-year-old senior woman is a problem for nobody or almost nobody. The age of the people was a little important topic till 1999. Since 2000, the age of a boy and the comparison between his birthday age and his true age has become the question most important of almost all. God included, of course. God is nothing compared with a cute, infantile, clever college boy with blue and hairless body and face. This is not my world. This is a world made for better, much better people. The essential law of stronger, much more insensitive, cleverer, younger, sweeter, and crueler people versus the weakest categories of society. This turned out not to be the last post that Al ever published, but it seems that he somewhat took a backseat after this, and his parents, especially Christina, mostly took over the account. Al and his parents seem to have some weird fixation on veins. He mentions them in this paragraph. There was the photo that was edited to make the veins look very visible. There are other photos of arms that clearly aren't Al's with veins popping out in an extreme way, and Christina sometimes talks about how Al's veins will become enlarged while she is beating him, which honestly is just a bizarre thing to say. Anyway, as I said, this is all very hard to make sense of. I think what Al is getting at is that society cares more about a specific demographic of men or boys than everyone else, though some of these characteristics are pretty odd, like the mention of perfect skin rich in wonderful blue veins. I'm not a psychologist, so take my analysis with a pinch of salt, but I think we can learn more from this paragraph if we consider that it's a reflection of how Al personally feels and the situation he is in, rather than about society in general. I think this paragraph could be seen as a representation of Al's depression and how he feels like no one cares about him, which isn't surprising considering he doesn't really seem to have any friends, and his parents, who should be the two people who give him totally unconditional love, choose instead to abuse him. One thing I noticed that's really weird and unsettling is how Al's parents seem to not only treat him like a child, but talk about him as if he is one as well. They often refer to him as their big boy son, or just big boy, or big kid, and even schoolboy on a couple of occasions. Al himself has previously said things that imply they see him as a child too. For example, they apparently stated that it's not normal for a young man like him to have a beard, and quote, "My father exaggerates, stating I seem a boy." Interestingly, Christina often signs off the end of the caption she writes with, "Christina, Alessandra's senior mother," as if to emphasise her age while making Al seem younger than he is. This could be some kind of power trip to the parents. It sure sounds like they enjoy attacking him, and maybe this is an aspect of the psychological abuse they inflict on him, or it could be something much weirder. I mentioned earlier that Al would occasionally post photos that were clearly not of him, implying in the caption that it was him, and the parents do the exact same thing. They have posted a few photos of children without showing the child's face, claiming that it is Al. For example, on the 29th of December 2022, a photo of a child's hand holding the fingers of an adult hand with the caption, "My 46 years old grown guy Alice is cuddling, encouraging, loving his mother Christina with his small hands that are still growing, after being showered by her earlier than his 8 evening bedtime. We have no problem in rearing, improving, beating our guy for his tiny mistakes, thanks to some parts of his body, like his hands for example, that are still very small." Even if we ignore the fact that this is clearly the hand of a toddler, not a fully grown man, we've seen Al's hands in some of his mirror selfies, and they look nothing like the hand in this photo. Similarly, a photo of a newborn baby's leg and foot was posted, with the parents claiming that it showed Christina spreading antibiotics on Al's leg. And again, it's obviously not the foot or leg of a 46-year-old man, and they obviously don't match his actual legs in the full body photos he posted. There are other inappropriate photos, clearly of different people, not children this time though thankfully, being punished that the parents claim are Al, taken while they're punishing him. There are plenty of photos of Al showing bruises, cuts and scars that he allegedly obtained after the beating from his parents though. The parents also often state that Al is still growing, and bizarrely make many claims that he's still going through puberty. They talk about his acne being caused by puberty, and in one of these captions state that they forbid him to shave because of the acne, but that they, quote, "require a smooth, cute son." They also mention that they're trying to block and regress his development. I have no idea how. I honestly can't make sense of any of this. If it isn't some kind of humiliation thing to make him feel like he's a child with the goal of making him easier to control, my only other guess is that it's some kind of disturbing fetish, which adds a whole new messed up angle to all this. Considering they once posted about punishing him because he refused to be naked at home because he was cold, it doesn't seem like that much of a stretch. I soon came across some photos that horrified me and could support this theory. Dotted between the selfies and artwork, there are a number of nude photos of Al. 1 or 2 are full body mirror selfies, and the rest are mostly close-ups of his bits. They're totally uncensored, and almost all of them are posted by the parents, with the exception of 1 or 2 that were apparently posted by Al after he was given permission to do so. Obviously this is extremely concerning on so many levels. The fact that his parents have even seen him naked as an adult is bad enough, let alone them posting those photos online. These images are often accompanied by creepy descriptions, sometimes again implying Al is a child, while describing his bits. There is a lot more weirdness to this, but I think we've covered enough to get the gist of this account. Still though, I'm left wondering what the hell is going on here. Taking what we've seen at face value, it appears that a middle-aged man who likely suffers with mental illness, and perhaps also has developmental problems, is being controlled and physically and mentally abused by his parents, who for one reason or another like to treat him as if he's a child, and simultaneously make inappropriate comments about him. That could be exactly what's happening, even though that still leaves many questions unanswered, though I can't help but think that there's more to this. Something just seems a little off with that. How are his parents stupid enough to openly admit that they're physically assaulting their son? They could be arrested for that if anyone reported this to the police, and they even sign off the post with their full names and their city, so it wouldn't be hard to locate them. How do they also seem totally oblivious to how inappropriate some of their comments are, and the fact that it's highly inappropriate to share nude photos of their son online? For a moment, I considered the possibility that this was some kind of ARG, mainly due to all the artwork posted on the account. Most of it is a very similar style, but each one is slightly different, and given the abstract nature of it, it's possible that there are hidden messages, though I don't really have enough reason to believe it is an ARG to make it worth trawling through all these different posts trying to look for a hidden meaning that might not even exist. The only other possibility I can think of is that this has all been orchestrated by Al, that he fabricated this story for some reason, and there is no abuse, and his parents aren't posting at all, it's all him. I don't just want to assume this is the case, because if there's any chance that someone is being abused, that should be taken seriously and investigated to ensure no one is in danger. However, due to how ridiculous and crazy many of these posts seem, I find it easier to believe that it's the result of one individual's delusions rather than three. It's worth noting that all of the posts, whether they're written by Al or one of the parents, are very similar in terms of the way things are worded, grammatical errors, spelling mistakes, and the general structure of the sentences. If each post didn't start with, "It is me, Alessandra," or "It is me, Christina," or end with the name of whoever purportedly wrote it, it wouldn't even cross my mind that they weren't all written by the same person. We really have no reason to believe that his parents are involved with the account whatsoever beyond the unverifiable claim that they are. There are a couple of photos of Al with his mother, none with his father though, but all that proves is that he took a photo with his mother, nothing else. So if this is all a fabricated story told by Al with no involvement from his parents, what would be his reason for doing so? It's possible that there is no specific reason, and that Al is suffering with some kind of mental illness that either deludes him into believing these things are actually happening, or he's deliberately making it all up for some reason. But unless his parents have wronged him in some way and this is his revenge, I can't understand why he'd publicly incriminate them when they've done nothing wrong. Perhaps he's simply playing a character, and the entire story, including his own identity and that of his parents, are fictional. So his name isn't even Alessandro, his parents' names aren't Christina and Giorgio, and none of them live in Milan. This would still be a little risky, as you should never underestimate internet sleuths. Even if you give a fake name and location online, there's always someone out there who could potentially figure out exactly who you are just from a photo of you. Thinking back to the long paragraph he posted there, he spoke about how people will go crazy for a 25-year-old man who acts like he's 14, and considering he's 46 years old and acting much younger in many ways, maybe that's what this is all about. Maybe he's telling a story to prove a point. I'm not sure exactly why there's so much emphasis on the beatings. Perhaps that's also symbolic for him in some way. The only other theory I can think of is that this is some kind of fetish content. If you've been on the internet for any length of time, you start to realise that at least 50% of internet mysteries or strange situations like this are the result of mental illness, and a decent chunk of the rest are ARGs or something sexual. I've covered enough bizarre fetishes on this channel to know that there is one for almost anything, and looking at the Magazine7 account from this perspective, it seems like it could be kind of similar to age play, which involves someone role-playing as a younger age than they actually are. There are countless examples on this account of comments that talk about Al as if he's a child. The entire story is based around a 46-year-old man, apparently still going through puberty and playing with dolls and other toys, who still lives with his parents, who put him to bed at 8 PM, bathe him, punish him for almost nothing, and control every aspect of his life. Then there's the bizarre photos of feet and hands that are clearly a baby's or a child's, that they're claiming are actually Al's. That instantly struck me as fetish related, regardless of whether the parents are involved with this account or not. Al claims to not be interested in having a girlfriend or boyfriend, only platonic friends, and Christina supports this, saying he has no desire of any kind, implying he's not interested in any kind of intimate contact either, even going as far as to say he's disgusted by it. But then what's with the nude photos? And if you look through the favourites section on the Magazine7 account, dotted between saved photos of surreal artwork, you'll find the occasional nude photo of other men, and even some adult content, including two men having contact with each other. This doesn't really fit the narrative, unless you consider that the claim that Al isn't interested in this stuff is simply to add to the childlike character he's been role-playing. I'm not 100% sure about this theory, but honestly it makes the most sense to me at this point. As I said, I don't want to totally dismiss the possibility that Al is actually being abused, but so many details just don't quite add up if that is the case. When it comes to odd fetishes, I feel like you kinda just have to accept that it often doesn't make total sense. There are bound to be more plot holes if this is a man who's simply created a story and is role-playing for the sole purpose of that kind of gratification. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts and theories in the comments, plus any other internet mysteries you'd like me to cover. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing. Huge thank you to my Ko-fi members and channel members whose names are on screen now. I really appreciate your support. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next Thursday in a new video.